What if this is the WNBA foreshadowing? We're seeing how you're acting on the bench. We're seeing how you're talking to the officials on the bench. We will tee you up. Now, whether I think that she deserves a tee for it or not, we're not even going to get into that. What if this is just saying, hey, we're going to tee you up if you continue to get at the officials, if you continue to talk up the officials, if you continue to show up the officials on the sideline, we're going to tee.
Think about it. That kind of performance, that kind of resilience, should have been front-page headlines everywhere, celebrating women's basketball. But instead of leaning into that moment, the league somehow found a way to completely step all over it by fining Caitlin Clark. The star who wasn't even on the floor was punished just for cheering on her teammates from the sidelines. Imagine how tone-deaf you have to be to turn what should be a feel-good story into another controversy about league leadership. Meanwhile, look at the double standard playing out right now. On one side, A'ja Wilson is crowned MVP for a record 4th time, celebrated as the polished face of the league. On the other side, Caitlin Clark, the player who drives ratings, ticket sales, and merchandise like no one else, gets fined for 4 words typed on Instagram. And when her teammates, Mitchell, Paul, Boston, Sims, dominated Game 1 while Wilson struggled through a dreadful 6 for 22 shooting night, it was Clark's Instagram comment that suddenly became the problem.
The Aces couldn't stop her. I actually don't think that the Aces perimeter, honestly, defense or offense is very good, but specifically defense, they just couldn't find an answer for Kelsey. They were sending 2 on her at different times, but the Fever were running cutters. Kelsey was making her way to the rim. Now, I will say the Aces defense is scary around the rim because you have somebody like A'ja who averages over 2 blocks a game, and she's just there waiting and ready to block your shot if you get too close to the rim. But Kelsey Mitchell, I mean, she was just finding her spots, getting to her lanes, hitting those open threes, all of the things.
The irony here is just poetic, isn't it? Clark gets punished for saying refs couldn't stop us, and then the Fever walk into Vegas and completely back up her words, steamrolling the league's darlings in their own building. If the WNBA had any sense, they would have packaged that into an incredible marketing blitz. Like, look at this team, look at this underdog story. Look at the future of women's basketball. Instead, they doubled down on their obsession with silencing criticism. It's like Engelbert and the league office are allergic to good publicity. This fine isn't just a bad look, it's a masterclass in how not to run a professional league. Rather than championing stars who bring unprecedented attention to the sport, they nitpick, control, and stifle. Rather than addressing officiating, which is the one issue uniting fans, players, and coaches, they punish anyone bold enough to speak the truth. It's the same backwards mentality that's haunted women's sports for decades. Keep the players compliant, maintain authority, and sacrifice growth if it means preserving control. And here's the most maddening part, it didn't have to be this way. If the league had invested half the effort into fixing officiating as they did into monitoring Caitlin Clark's Instagram, this entire controversy would never even exist. Accountability for referees, consistent training, actual transparency, any of those measures would give players confidence. Instead, they just bury their heads in the sand while the players carry all the weight.
All the money that Caitlin Clark has generated for this league, all the tickets sold, all the jerseys, all the record revenue of the ratings, the television deal, and they're going to put their hands in her pocket for $200 for this. I'm like, hey man, do we need to call the armored guard? Do we need to have all this? And we need to deliver it directly to Kathy Engelbert's office. As a matter of fact, Caitlin Clark herself should be able to make an appearance, and she should do how Ice Cube did, when he used to run up into record labels. I'm saying, bring a bat. Caitlin
Clark's reaction to the fine really proves why she's more than just a basketball player. She's a cultural force. She just laughed it off, promised her bench would keep bringing the energy, and showed fans exactly why she's so adored. She refuses to bow to league bureaucracy. She refuses to let pettiness distract her from supporting her team. And she refuses to let Kathy Engelbert or anyone else muzzle her voice. That's leadership. That's authenticity. That's why her fans rally behind her in ways no WNBA player has ever experienced before. But the tragedy here runs deeper than one $200 fine. The WNBA had a golden chance to build massive momentum off Clark's impact and the Fever's improbable playoff run. They had the storylines, the characters, the energy, and instead of amplifying it, they sabotaged themselves with pure pettiness. This isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a window into why women's basketball has struggled to grow under Engelbert's watch. Every time the league gets a chance to lean into progress, it prioritizes control. Every single time it should listen to its stars, it silences them.
It is madness. It is madness. And I mean this. Like, the amount of people are like, oh, I hate this team. It's like, why? They're excessively celebrating. They're excessively celebrating. They're not there talking down on other teams. They're not doing the Alyssa Thomas. They're not doing a Phoenix Mercury and shit talking other teams' fans. They're not doing Phoenix Mercury and shit talking the other team's players, their coaches, their all of this stuff. And then when they lose, they're silent and they dodge everything. Hell no, they're just celebrating. They're just celebrating. They actually find somebody for saying refs can't stop.
So, the refs won't stop us. They're clearly ignoring the message. Make sure you click the video on screen, and we'll see you in the next one.
The hate is real. The hate is real, Kathy. I see you hating on us from a mile away, Kathy Engelbert. We all see it. You out here trying to find Caitlin Clark. You out here finding the one person who's actually bringing money into this league. What a joke. You're mad that the Indiana Fever are here right now.
Y'all seriously didn't think we'd get this far, did you? The WNBA, once again, has found a way to show everyone why so many fans and even the players themselves question its leadership. And get this time, the controversy isn't even about some bad call in a game. No, this one goes a lot deeper. The league actually punished its biggest star just for saying out loud what millions of us already know.
Y'all really didn't expect it. We got Sophie Cunningham exposing the whole league agenda. Exposing them. Caitlin Clark mocking them all on Twitter, all on Instagram, everywhere, because they are Caitlin.
So, Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever's generational talent, who's completely changed the conversation around women's basketball, got fined $200. Why? For making a social media joke about officiating. Let that sink in for a second. Clark, the player who's filling arenas, boosting TV ratings, and single-handedly pulling the WNBA into the mainstream, got fined, not for a flagrant foul, not for unsportsmanlike conduct, but for typing 4 simple words, "Refs couldn't stop us." Seriously, what do you think about the WNBA officiating? Let us know in the comments below.
So during the game, we saw here, the Fever players celebrating. I would assume, based on the reaction, that this was after the Lexi Hull steal and everything. And Caitlin Clark on Instagram commented this: "Refs couldn't stop us. Elite bench mob. It wasn't for the lack of trying. Glad they're having fun and celebrating like no other teams. Will she get fined for saying that?"
Yeah, she actually got fined. The timing couldn't be more messed up. Honestly, the Fever, playing without their superstar on the court, are suddenly deeper into the postseason than they've been in almost a decade. They just stunned the Las Vegas Aces in Game 1 of the semifinals, a huge upset that shook the whole league. You'd think the WNBA would be all over that story, celebrating their product. Instead, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and her team decided the real priority was to crack down on Caitlin Clark's Instagram comments.
When you're on the WNBA's time or the NFL's time or the NBA's time, when you're on their time, criticizing the officials, calling out the officiating, I've seen players get fined for that. But when you're on your own time, well, now, other than Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark seems to be the 2 players that come to my mind of players getting fined, criticizing the officials, doing it on their own time, quote unquote, off the clock.
Think about that. I mean, instead of highlighting the sheer grit, the amazing underdog triumph, or the fact that the Fever are literally rewriting history right now, League officials were scrolling through Instagram. They were acting like hall monitors, just waiting to hand out demerits. It's wild.
You guys, today, Caitlin Clark got fined $200. Kathy, what do you think you are accomplishing by that? What kind of message do you think you're accomplishing by doing? You're not even making an example out of her by fining her an exorbitant amount of money. You are literally making a joke out of yourself by fining her such a little.
Let's break down what really happened.
So, here's what happened. The Fever's official account posted a photo of their bench celebrating a recent win. Clark, who's still sidelined with her groin injury, was in street clothes, but totally locked in with her teammates. She commented twice. First, she said, "Elite bench mob." Then, "Refs couldn't stop us." That was it. Just 4 words, typed with the same humor fans have come to love from her. 4 words that honestly mirrored what every Fever fan was shouting at their TVs all season. And how did the league respond to that?
A fine.
What world do we live in? Like, I'm pretty sure she just said the refs can't stop them celebrating. This isn't even her going at refs. It's literally like if you say the word refs and you're an Indiana Fever player, you're going to get fined. If you say the word refs as a Fever player, the word referees has to be spoken, cannot be said by an Indiana Fever player, otherwise it's a fine. And the worst part is if they got fined for celebrating. So I don't think, only she got fined, not everybody. There's other people on the floor, everything. She's not, like, they're celebrating, the timeout's been called, or the foul's been called, it is what it is.
It's laughable.
Listen, this is the same league that's basically ignored cheap shots on Clark all year. The same league that's turned a blind eye to hard fouls that would have been flagrants in any other sport. And suddenly, now they find their backbone over a completely harmless social media post. That's not accountability, friend. That's pure hypocrisy. Plain and simple.
And we know how this works because Sophie Cunningham has told us how this works. If you talk about the refereeing, if you talk about the officiating, on the InstaFace, on the TikToks, on the Twitters, any of that social media, in the public, in the interview, if you mouth it in the shower, Kathy Engelbert will peek in and look around at you and point at you and be like, you're fined. Even though she won't clean up the officiating in her trash-ass league.
Okay, clearly someone needs to start a GoFundMe to cover Clark's massive financial burden, right?
WNBA definitely got to play these women more. You got to pay these women more. Because what the hell is a $200 fine? This picture right here is giving me Mom Made Pizza Rolls vibes. Mom Made Pizza Rolls and everybody. Ah! Caitlin Clark was fined $200 for her comments she left on the IG post. She said refs couldn't stop us, meaning they advanced to the next round despite the refs trying to throw them a curveball every game, despite having to play against the refs. And the league said, "Oh hell no, nah. You gotta run me that 200. You got to run me that 200."
Here's the thing.
But here's the thing, everyone knows the money isn't the issue here. Clark's base WNBA salary is around $80,000, but she's raking in millions from endorsement deals with Nike, Gatorade, and pretty much every major brand that knows she's the face of women's sports. A $200 fine to her, that's like dropping a penny in a fountain. The sting isn't financial at all, it's totally symbolic. The league isn't sending her a bill, it's sending a message. Don't you dare challenge us. But here's the kicker, the message completely backfired. All this fine really did was expose the WNBA's totally misplaced priorities. Instead of dealing with the very real officiating crisis that's been obvious to anyone who's watched a game this season, Engelbert's office is punishing the player who dared to name the elephant in the room. And let's be real, Clark's comment wasn't even remotely out of bounds. She didn't attack a specific official, she didn't curse, she didn't rant, she didn't even throw shade at the league directly. It wasn't personal, it was just a cheeky one-line observation that reflected what fans were already saying. The Fever overcame both the aces and the officiating. That's not misconduct, that's just common sense.
He has got jokes. she retweeted this. That's really going to break the bank for her. Starting a GoFundMe now. Sophie, you got jokes. Hun, you got jokes. Yeah. So Sophie Cunningham Central, I'll donate.
Meanwhile,
What's crazy is the issues Clark hinted at are still absolutely rotting the product from the inside out. Inconsistent whistles, missed calls that actually decide games, referees losing control to the point where every hard foul risks turning into a fight. Players are sick of it, coaches are sick of it, and us fans, we are downright exhausted. We've seen entire games derailed by officiating disasters like that infamous Fever versus Sun showdown that spiraled into 5 technicals and multiple ejections. And yet, the league would rather police Instagram than actually fix the problem. To make matters worse, the optics are just humiliating. While Clark was being punished for speaking a simple truth, the Aces were busy celebrating Aja Wilson's 4th MVP award. Imagine that contrast. On one side, the league's most decorated veteran, showered with praise; on the other, the league's most popular player, fined for speaking her mind. That's not balance, that's a completely rigged narrative. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark, it's about what kind of league the WNBA wants to be. Does it want to be a legitimate, respected professional sports league that embraces criticism and grows stronger from it? Or does it want to be a fragile PR machine that silences its stars while ignoring its flaws? Right now, Engelbert's office is definitely making the wrong choice.
Rather than fining players for being excited on the bench and for letting it be known how trash your referees are, why don't you start fining referees for not calling fouls? Why don't you start putting that type of energy into making sure the game is played better? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Because that would be nice. That would.
Because here's the reality, Caitlin Clark didn't hurt the WNBA by posting those 4 words. She exposed the truth. She gave fans a voice. And by punishing her, the league has done nothing but prove her exactly right. The WNBA's response to criticism has become this predictable cycle. They punish the whistleblowers, they protect the system, and then they just hope the controversy dies down. Instead of confronting the glaring issues in officiating, they fine anyone who dares to speak up. Natalie Nakase, the Golden State assistant coach, learned that lesson when she was fined for pointing out obvious bias. Indiana's own Stephanie White has been calling out inconsistent, disrespectful refereeing all season long. Even Las Vegas coach Becky Hammon, yes, the same Hammon whose Aces often benefit from favorable whistles, has publicly admitted the quality of officiating across the league is embarrassing.
The physicality is out of control, that's for sure. I mean, you can bump and grab a wide receiver in the NFL for those first 5 yards, but you can do it in the W for the whole half court. You put 2 hands on somebody like that, it should be an automatic foul. They have the freedom of movement. Freedom of movement. There's no freedom. And I'm not saying that we're not fouling too. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's out of control.
Look, when voices from across the spectrum, from rival coaches to insiders, all repeat the same concern, the league really should be listening. Instead, the WNBA's answer is always the same. Slap a fine, silence the messenger, and just pretend nothing's wrong. And this is what makes the punishment of Caitlin Clark especially insulting. Just look at the context. The Indiana Fever are in the middle of a miracle playoff run, and they're doing it without her. 6 key players sidelined by injury, their superstar stuck on the bench since July. And yet, this group still clawed its way to the semifinals for the first time since they knocked off the higher-seeded Atlanta Dream in a nail-biting 3-game series. Then, against all odds, they stunned the 2-time champions, the Las Vegas Aces, in Game 1 of the semifinals with a dominant 89-73 road victory. That wasn't luck, guys. That was pure grit, incredible discipline, and Kelsey Mitchell erupting for 34 points. Just 2 shy of the franchise playoff record.